This period, known as the Sultanate of Women, saw powerful female figures and their allies, the chief eunuchs and grand viziers, engage in complex and often deadly intrigues. Decisions were no longer based on the strategic needs of the state, but on personal ambition, rivalries, and the preservation of factional power. Corruption became endemic. High offices were sold to the highest bidder, regardless of merit, leading to incompetence and mismanagement throughout the imperial administration. The intricate machinery of the state, once a model of efficiency, began to rust and seize, paralyzed by bribery and internal strife. The decay at the center of the empire inevitably spread to its military, the very institution that had forged its greatness. The Janissaries, once the elite, invincible shock troops of the Sultan, began to lose their edge. Originally a disciplined corps of slave soldiers forbidden from marrying or engaging in trade, they gradually won concessions that eroded their military discipline. They were allowed to marry, have children, and enroll their sons into the corps, transforming it from a meritocratic fighting force into a privileged, hereditary caste more interested in protecting its perks than in fighting the empire's wars. They became a powerful political force in Istanbul, frequently meddling in palace politics and launching revolts to depose sultans or viziers who threatened their interests. Their refusal to adopt new military technologies and tactics, viewing them as a threat to their traditional role, left the Ottoman army dangerously outmatched by the rapidly modernizing armies of Europe. The sharp sword of the empire had grown dull. While internal rot weakened the empire, profound economic shifts were undermining its foundations. For centuries, the Ottomans had controlled the lucrative trade routes between Europe and Asia, filling the imperial coffers with taxes and tariffs. However, the European age of discovery fundamentally altered the global economic landscape. Portuguese, Dutch, and English navigators pioneered new sea routes around Africa, bypassing Ottoman territories altogether. This shift in trade diverted the immense wealth of the spice and silk trades away from the Middle East and directly into the ports of Western Europe. Simultaneously, a massive influx of silver from the Americas flooded into Ottoman markets, causing runaway inflation that devalued the currency and crippled the economy. Local artisans and merchants could not compete with cheaper, mass-produced European goods. The economic engine of the empire began to sputter, starved of the commerce that had long been its lifeblood. The intellectual and technological dynamism that had once characterized